Hi everyone, welcome to Bangtan Film School. I'm your teacher, Ms. Wright. Thank you for joining us again for today's class. Today we're going to talk about Jimin's Like Crazy. And this is a very fun music video to talk about, I think. So let's jump right into it.
I think we could last forever.
Such a beautiful opening. Like when we talked about People Part 2, with this video, we are going to still talk about some of our camera movement and the tone that we're trying to create. Filmmaking is all about visual storytelling. So we're always going to be discussing what is the story that we're trying to tell and how are we using the camera? How are we using the editing, the lighting, every aspect that we can of filmmaking to help tell that story visually. Because although this is a song, the music video is about the visuals. Okay, so we're starting off here with Jimin against the blue background. Like Yoongi's video, we're starting off with blue. This was also something that he said happened. He made this right after the pandemic. I think it was during the Las Vegas shows. So he was still having the lingering feelings left over from the pandemic, from the trauma of that we all went through. Um, and he was still processing a lot of those feelings. So a lot of this is about him processing those emotions that he had that he hadn't dealt with yet before. So we're still feeling very blue. We're very sad. Here we have him centered in the shot. This is kind of a full shot showing his full body. And we have people on either side moving around. So this is going to give us a sense of isolation, that he's among a crowd, but he's not part of the crowd. And then let's watch the camera movement as well as it goes. We're pushing in. Watch this. This is beautiful. Okay, so that was a really beautiful scene transition that we saw there. That is called a match cut because we went from a shot of his eye at the club to his eye here at his home. And also the camera movement was a part of that. So the camera pushes in and then it turns to the side as it pushes in and then it cuts to the next scene. So we're in a totally new scene filmed on a totally different day and then we're connecting them with this camera movement. So then the camera pulls back out and goes back straightened up as it pulls out, and now we are in a new scene. Match cuts are one of my favorite types of scene transitions. They're really, really beautiful and an elegant way to take us into a new scene. Let's see it one more time with the camera movement.
Just trust me.
Camera tilted. And the movement continues as it pulls away. Here the lights flicker, and when the lights flicker out, the floor, which previously was clean, is now covered in this mud. Gross. So the mud we're going to see a few times, and clearly that's going to be symbolic, and it could be multiple things. You know, we really have to ask Jimin to be sure, but it could be all of the mess that he has to deal with every day, all the crap that people give him, that he's handling. It could be an expression of the emotions that he felt during the pandemic, weighing him down and just making him feel gross and dirty. It could be a combination of all those things. But basically, it symbolizes whatever emotionally that he's been going through that he hasn't really been dealing with is all collecting underneath him. If we look at that a little bit more closely, I'm not sure if I can catch it. Let's see. So that's a woman's hand who grabs him, and her hand also has the mud all over it as she grabs him, and she pulls him into the club. This shot right here is infrared, which is used a few times in the video. This is another visual transition. So we have him there in the normal lighting, the hand grabs him, goes to infrared, and then pulls him into the club. Transitions us. Oop, now we're back in the club. And here, this is a really great shot. I love the camera movement on this shot as he's running back into the club. Camera follows behind it. So probably the hand is representing that he's feeling propelled to go back into the club, to get out of his home, not wanting to stay there anymore, feeling too weighed down maybe by all of the muck that he's dealing with, and he just wants to not think about all that grossness. So it's going to go to the club and have a good time. So notice the camera movements are getting a lot shakier now, purposefully to help express the emotions of the scene. We talk about how this is visual storytelling. The camera has to help tell the story. So the camera being jerkier is showing how Jimin is feeling in this scene. We're also cutting a little more erratically and a little bit more quickly, and that's also helping to tell that story, to show how he's feeling. We're trying to express his feelings visually so that we feel immersed in that storytelling. This is pretty cool. See how narrow the hallway is? Later, we're going to see that it gets much wider. And when we take a look at the behind the scenes video, we'll see kind of how they did it. But this basically is a set. Everything that they're filming here is on a set. None of this is on location. The club, they built it. Here, they built this specifically so that later they can have the mud coming down from the walls, and so they can move the walls, make them narrower, and give us more sense of claustrophobia, or to pull them out wider for the shot that they want. Here's the Mook following him to the club. He can't escape. So here we're going into some slow-mo, which means that they would have filmed it at a higher frame rate and so that they could slow it down and not lose any quality. Also, there's a sort of a slight fuzziness to it, particularly around him. And a little bit on him too, probably to indicate that he's a little inebriated, and so everything's getting a little bit fuzzier. Now we have the infrared showing again. That has to be filmed on a special camera to get that effect, and infrared means that it's filming where it sees heat. So the different colors indicate the different levels of heat that it's recognizing. Do you want to see one again? Yeah. So the white's going to be like hotter, and then these darker colors are cooler, I believe. And so that's showing the heat signatures of the people. I like the girl with the cell phone. She's not having a good time. Here we're getting some jump cuts. So jump cuts are when you're cutting from one thing to the same thing, and the person just kind of is here, and then suddenly they're here. They just like instantly move, but we don't see them move. Jump cuts, they're using it here to create a sense of like you're dancing and you're not really thinking, and time just kind of flicks by, and the next thing you know, you're over here. So again, they're using the editing to help tell the story by purposely putting in those jump cuts. The woman. Okay, here's what's fun about this shot. There's a lot of theories about the woman, and I'm not really going to get too much into that, but I do really love this aspect here. So notice how the woman is walking from one side of the screen to the other. Now, on camera, I'm flipped, so forgive me if I'm motioning the wrong way. But the woman walks in from one direction, and Jimin walks in from the other. Now, if you're looking at the video, she walks in from the right side going to the left, and he walks in from the left side going to the right. Traditionally in film, your hero, the good guy, is going to be going from the left side to the right, like Jimin, and your villain is going to come in from the other side, showing that they're moving in opposition. Not necessarily a villain in this case, but that's how you would have your villain facing, but maybe just the obstacle, the thing that he's dealing with. So she's coming in from the opposite direction, and they're coming together. These lights here are, I believe, sort of reminiscent of water. And he said before in his live that there was references to water, to fish bowls. Maybe it's like feeling like you're in a fishbowl, kind of like being in a cage where you're being watched and observed by people, but not connecting with them. And that seems to fit the theme of the music video itself. So I think these are like ripples in water. We also see this in his album itself, where we have the circles, and he said it's like rippling water. So I think that that's on purpose. There it is. The ripples. That was a fun little spin. You see that little spin? Um, you could do that practically where you put the camera on something that can spin, but probably you're going to do it in editing because it's kind of a lot to set up. All right, so we have a new scene here. We are in the bathroom. This is also a set. Don't be fooled. They built it. Look at the walls pull away. That's such a cool effect. So that's how we know that it was actually a set, is the walls physically pull away. That's a practical effect, which means that you really, really did it. Like the mud that comes down from the walls, that was also a practical effect. Not digitally done, not done on computer. They did it live. And that kind of stuff, it really looks better if you can do things practically more than digitally. Generally, things are going to look better, less fake. There's those walls moving again. We know from the behind the scenes video that we'll look at later that this is actually a giant screen that he is standing on with the video underneath with that infrared showing those heat signatures. Again with the slow-mo and making things fuzzy, probably indicating inebriation. The spinning. That spin spun us and then took us to a new shot. It's a very seamless sort of edit when you do that, and it looks really nice. I think we're seeing more and more of the spinning now because it's starting to get overwhelming because he's been here all night and we're reaching our climax of the song. So you're going to want to speed up the cuts of the edit. You're going to want to have some new elements brought in so it doesn't get stagnant. And again, we're just trying to express the feeling that Jimin is feeling. Whoop, walls came back. Everything's reversing and speeding up. You're going to do that in the editing. Here we have footprints with the mud on it. He's bringing it back with him from the club.
What's the point?
What's the point? Well, at least the point is we have a really beautiful music video. Okay, so there you go. The next video, I'm going to go and look at the behind the scenes and see what else we can figure out about how they made the music video itself. Hope that you learned something. And your homework for this week is stream Like Crazy by Jimin and People Part 2 by August D. And then also, we still need to get Persona up to 100 million. So that's going to be on your homework list for a while until we can manage that. So go and watch Persona as well. So this has been Bangtan Film School. I'm your teacher, Ms. Wright, and don't forget to do your homework. Class dismissed.